Hello everyone, now let us discuss about anti-anginal drugs part 1. In the current session, we will be focusing about the classification of anti-anginal drugs and specifically we will be discussing about organic nitrates. Coming to angina, as we all know, angina is not a disease but it is a pain syndrome and it is a feeling of pain, squeezing or pressure in the chest. Induction of an adverse oxygen supply demand situation in a portion of myocardium often leads to angina. Now coming to the treatment and management of angina pectoris. It can be managed and treated by medications, lifestyle modifications and surgical procedures. Now coming to anti-anginal drugs. The clinical classification of anti-anginal drugs is of two types. First one is when the drugs are used to prevent, abort or terminate the attacks of angina pectoris, and the drug of choice are glyceryl trinitrate and isosorbate dinitrate, both are sublingual tablets. And secondly, the drugs which are used for chronic prophylaxis. Other drugs, all other anti-anginal drugs other than GTN and isosorbate dinitrate sublingual are used for chronic prophylaxis. And when it comes to mechanism, the anti-anginal drugs, they act in two ways. Either they increase the oxygen delivery or they decrease the oxygen demand. The anti-anginal drugs, they occur in two ways. They act in two ways. They increase the oxygen delivery or decrease the oxygen demand. And the drugs which increase the oxygen delivery are coronary vasodilators and antithrombolytic drugs, which are anticoagulants and antiplatelet agents. And the drugs which decrease the oxygen demand are vasodilators, as they reduce the afterload and preload, which are nothing but calcium channel blockers and nitrodilators. And cardiac depressants, they reduce the heart rate and contractility. Example of cardiac depressants are beta blockers and calcium channel blockers. Now coming to the classification of anti-anginal drugs. First, let us discuss about nitrates. Nitrates are again classified into short-acting and long-acting. Short-acting nitrates are glyceryl trinitrate and isosorbate dinitrate sublingual tablets. The long-acting agents are isosorbate dinitrate oral and isosorbate mononitrate, erythritol tetranitrate and pentaerythritol tetranitrate. The next category is beta blockers. Example is propranolol, metoprolol and atenolol. The next category is calcium channel blockers. The example of drugs are verapamil, diltiazem and amlodipine. The next are potassium channel openers. Example is nicorandil. And the other drugs are trimethazidine, ranolazine, ivabradine and dipyridamole. These are the other drugs. So this is the overall classification of anti-anginal drugs. And in the current session, we will be discussing in detail about organic nitrates. Now coming to organic nitrates. The basic mechanism of organic nitrate is non-specific smooth muscle relaxation, particularly vascular smooth muscle. They act by two mechanisms. First one is dilation of veins and the next is dilate the coronary vasculature. By the dilation of veins, they reduce the workload on the heart, and by dilating the coronary vasculature, they increase the blood supply to the heart. So let us now discuss about how nitrates are going to reduce the cardiac work. They reduce the cardiac work by reducing preload and afterload. When it comes to preload, the first thing is they dilate the veins and which leads to peripheral pooling of blood. This decreases the venous return, which is nothing but preload is decreased, and this further results in reduction of end diastolic size and pressure. This decreases the cardiac work and results in the decrease in oxygen consumption. And they also reduce the afterload. How? The nitrates also produce some arteriolar dilation. Principally, nitrates produce venous dilation, but nitrates also produce some arteriolar dilation. And this slightly decreases the afterload on the heart. This leads to reduction in cardiac work and decrease in the oxygen consumption. Coming to the next mechanism by which the nitrate acts is redistribution of coronary flow. The first one that we have discussed is reduction of cardiac work, and the next one is redistribution of coronary flow. The nitrates, preferably, they relax the bigger conducting coronary arteries, and this favors increased blood flow to ischemic areas. By preferentially relaxing the bigger conducting coronary arteries, they increase the blood flow to ischemic areas. This results in redistribution of coronary flow. And the next one is relieving the vasospasm. They have a relaxant effect on larger coronary vessels. Having a relaxant effect on the larger coronary vessels is the principal action of nitrates, benefiting variant angina by counteracting the coronary vasospasm. Now, the effect of nitrates on heart and peripheral blood flow. They have no direct stimulant or depressant effect on the heart, but the nitric oxide, NO, increases the rate of relaxation of cardiac muscle, which is nothing but lusiotropic action. Nitric oxide, it increases the rate of relaxation of cardiac muscle, and it is probably true that organic nitrates mimic this action, which could be important in patients with impaired diastolic function or in case of hypertension and cardiac failure. The lusiotropic action of organic nitrates may be important in patients with impaired diastolic function and in case of hypertension and heart failure. Coming to the peripheral blood flow, they dilate the cutaneous vessels. The organic nitrates, they dilate the cutaneous vessels, especially over face and neck. And this is responsible for flushing, which is a adverse effect of organic nitrates. And similarly, they dilate the meningeal vessels, causing headache. Both headache and flushing are the principal adverse effects of nitrates, and they result due to the dilation of cutaneous vessels and meningeal vessels. The splanchnic and the renal blood flow decreases to compensate for vasodilation in other areas. And additionally, the nitrates tend to decongest lungs by shifting blood to systemic circulation. This is the effect of nitrates on heart and peripheral blood flow. Now, coming to the effect of nitrates on other smooth muscles. In addition to cardiac muscle, bronchi, biliary tract and esophageal are mildly relaxed by nitrates. And the effects on intestine, ureter and uterus is insignificant. Now coming to the summary of anti-anginal effects of nitrates. First is reduced cardiac work, because they reduce the cardiac preload by venodilation and afterload by reduced arterial wave reflection, leading to reduced myocardial oxygen requirement. Reduced cardiac work leads to reduced myocardial oxygen requirement. That is the principal effect. And the next one is redistribution of coronary flow towards ischemic areas via collaterals. And the third is relief of coronary spasm. These are the three principal anti-anginal actions of nitrates. Coming to the mechanism of action of nitrates. The organic nitrates, which preferably react with the tissue sulfhydryl groups, SH groups, are rapidly denitrated enzymatically in the smooth muscle cells to release the reactive free radical nitric oxide. The organic nitrates are enzymatically denitrated to release free radical nitric oxide, NO. This NO or nitric oxide activates the cytosolic soluble guanyl cyclase, and this increases the CGMP and causes dephosphorylation of myosin light chain kinase through a CGMP dependent protein kinase G. Reduced availability of phosphorylated myosin light chain kinase interferes with the activation of myosin, and it fails to interact with actin to cause contraction. This results in the relaxation of smooth muscle. And additionally, raised CGMP levels may also reduce calcium entry, contributing to further relaxation. This is the mechanism of action of organic nitrates. This is the schematic representation. Now you can see these are the organic nitrates. They are enzymatically denitrated to release nitric oxide. This nitric oxide, it reacts with guanyl cyclase and increases the CGMP levels. This CGMP reacts with protein kinase G and causes dephosphorylation of myosin light chain kinase. This is phosphorylated myosin light chain kinase, and this nitric oxide induced increased CGMP results in the dephosphorylation of myosin light chain kinase, so that it cannot act with actin and result in contraction. Coming to the kinetics, the organic nitrates are lipid soluble and well absorbed from buccal mucosa, intestine and skin. They are ingested orally. Generally, all are ingested orally except isosorbate mononitrate. Whenever ingested orally, all except isosorbate mononitrate undergo extensive first pass metabolism. We know that nitrates are denitrated to nitric oxide, free radical nitric oxide. The enzymes which are responsible are glutathione reductase and mitochondrial aldehyde dehydrogenase. These two enzymes are responsible for the denitration of nitrates. And the partly denaturate metabolites are less active, but they have longer T-half. And the rate of absorption and metabolism determines the duration of action of nitrates. For instance, glyceryl trinitrate and isosorbide dinitrate are both short-acting when they are taken sublingually, but they are long-acting when they are taken orally. So this is an important point. The rate of absorption and metabolism determines the duration of action of nitrates. The glyceryl trinitrate GTN and isosorbide dinitrate are short-acting when they are taken sublingually, and they become long-acting when they are taken orally. Coming to the adverse effects. Coming to the adverse effects of nitric oxide, they are fullness in head, throbbing headache, and some degree of tolerance develops and continuous use. Other are flushing, weakness, sweating, palpitations, dizziness, and fainting due to postural hypertension. Flushing, weakness, sweating, palpitations, dizziness, and fainting due to postural hypertension. And this was the cause for Monday morning sickness among the workers in explosive factories who are exposed to nitric oxide. This is the major cause. The postural hypotension is the major cause for Monday morning sickness among the workers in the explosive factories. And the postural hypotension which is caused by nitrates can be mitigated by lying down, but standing still and alcohol increase these effects. The next adverse effect is methemoglobinemia. Usually it is very rare and occurs whenever high doses are taken. Methemoglobin is an oxidative product of hemoglobin that is ineffective as oxygen carrier. And this methemoglobin is formed whenever large doses of nitrates are taken. And this mechanism is used in treating cyanide poisoning, which we will discuss in the further session. And the other adverse effects are rashes are rare, but they are more common with pentaerythritol tetranitrate. Now coming to tolerance, the repeated administration of nitrates to smooth muscle preparations in vitro results in the depletion of SH groups, which may partly contribute to the diminished relaxation. This is in vitro, but clinically, no significant tolerance develops on intermittent use of sublingual GTN for attacks of angina. Whenever glyceryl trinitrate is used sublingually to treat the attacks of angina, clinically significant tolerance is not seen. But the tolerance can be clinically significant when the glyceryl trinitrate is given orally or transdermally, or even when it is given as continuous IV infusion. As well as tolerance is clinically significant with long-acting organic nitrates such as isosorbide mononitrate. Now coming to the dependence. So sudden withdrawal after prolonged use. Whenever the nitrates are suddenly withdrawn after prolonged use, there are chances of spasm of coronary and peripheral blood vessels. Myocardial infarction and sudden deaths are also noted. Episodes of angina increase. So whenever episodes of angina increase due to the dependence on nitrates, other class of anti-anginal drugs should be given. Now coming to interactions, the sildenafil and other PDE5 inhibitors, they cause severe hypotension, even myocardial infarction and deaths are noted. One more important point is additive hypotension is possible when given with other vasodilators. These two are the interactions of organic nitrates with other drugs. Now coming to rapid nitrate tolerance. In addition to the regular tolerance, rapid nitrate tolerance can also occur because of reactive oxygen species that are produced during the denitration of organic nitrates. They inhibit the mitochondrial aldehyde dehydrogenase and other enzymes. So further NO generation is interfered. So this results in rapid nitrate tolerance. And how we can prevent it? The prevention is to provide nitrate-free intervals. The patients should provide nitrate-free intervals in order to prevent rapid nitrate tolerance. Now coming to the clinically used nitrates. Let us discuss about drugs. As we all know that the nitrates are broadly categorized into two types, short-acting nitrates and long-acting nitrates. The examples of short-acting nitrates are glyceryl trinitrate, GTN or nitroglycerin. This is the most commonly employed short-acting nitrate. The next one is isosorbide dinitrate. Whenever isosorbide dinitrate is given sublingually, it comes under short-acting. And whenever isosorbide dinitrate is given orally, it becomes long-acting. So examples of long-acting drugs are isosorbide dinitrate oral, isosorbide mononitrate, erythritol tetranitrate and pentaerythritol tetranitrate. Coming to glyceryl trinitrate, which is GTN or nitroglycerin. It is a volatile liquid which is formulated by adsorbing on the inert matrix of the tablet, and it is rendered non-explosive. And the tablets must be stored in tightly closed glass containers. And once the bottle is opened, its shelf life is quite short because the volatile active substance evaporates. So spray preparations can avoid these kind of problems. Coming to the route of administration, GTN is given sublingually and the tablet may be crushed under teeth and it is spread over buccal mucosa. It acts within 1 to 2 minutes. The plasma T-half is 2 minutes and the duration of action, it depends on the period it remains available for absorption from the buccal mucosa, and it is usually 10 to 30 minutes. The duration of action of GTN is 10 to 30 minutes when it is given sublingually. Now, the next routes of administration. So, hepatic metabolizing capacity can be overcome by administering a large dose orally. So, whenever GTN is given orally, it undergoes high first pass metabolism. This can be prevented whenever large doses are given. So, sustained release oral tablets like nitrocontin and Corodil 2.6 and 6.4 mg tablets are available in the market. And the sustained release oral capsules are also available. They contain much larger amounts of GTN and are used for chronic prophylaxis. And one more important point is the nitroglycerin is readily absorbed from the skin. So this point is used in preparation of transdermal patch. The transdermal patch of nitroglycerin is also available. Example is Nitroderm 5 or 10 mg patch has been developed which provides steady delivery for 24 hours. It starts within 60 minutes and the bioavailability is 70 to 90%, but tolerance may develop. For that reason, the patch must be taken off 8 to 10 hours daily in order to prevent rapid nitrate tolerance. One more additional dosage form is transmucosal dosage form has also been developed, which must be stuck to the gums under the upper lip. It acts in 5 minutes and release the drug for 4 to 6 hours. And the next route is IV infusion. The IV infusion of GTN provides rapid, steady, titratable plasma concentrations for as long as required or desired. It has been successfully used for unstable angina, coronary vasospasm, left ventricular failure accompanying myocardial infarction, hypertension during cardiac surgery, etc. The IV infusion begins with 5 mg per minute and it must be adjusted according to the need. The minimum dose must be 5 mg per minute. The available formulations are Myovin, Millistrol and Nitroject 5 mg per ml injections. Coming to next drug, isosorbide dinitrate. It is a solid, whereas GTN is volatile liquid. Isosorbide dinitrate is solid, but it has similar properties of glyceryl trinitrate. It is used sublingually at the time of attack, and the peak plasma concentrations are attained within 5 to 8 minutes, and it is given orally for chronic prophylaxis. So whenever the drug is taken orally, the pre-systemic metabolism is pronounced and variable. The plasma half-life of isosorbide dinitrate is 40 minutes when it is given sublingually, but sustained release formulations may provide protection for 6 to 10 hours. One more important point is the last dose should not be taken later than 6 p.m. to allow nitrate level to fall during sleep at night. The available formulations are sorbitrate 5 and 10 mg tablet, isordil 5 mg sublingual and 10 mg oral tablet, ditrate 5 mg 10 mg tablet and 20 to 40 mg sustained release tablet. Coming to the next drug, it is isosorbide mononitrate. This is an active metabolite of isosorbide dinitrate, and when administered orally, it undergoes less or little first pass metabolism. The bioavailability is high and the inter-individual differences are minimal. It is long-acting drug. The T-half is 4 to 6 hours and the duration of action is 6 to 10 hours. One more important point is, since it is a long-acting drug, the last dose is to be taken in the afternoon. And the sustained release tablet is taken once a day in the morning. The available formulations are monotrate 10, 20 and 40 mg tablets and monotrate 25 and 50 mg sustained release. SR is nothing but sustained release tablets. 5 monosorbitrate 10 mg, 20 mg, 40 mg tablets. Coming to next drugs, they are erythritol tetranitrate and pentaerythritol tetranitrate. These are the long-acting nitrates and are used only for chronic prophylaxis. The sustained release oral preparations are now available for 2 to 3 times a day dosing. Studies with high doses have shown saturation of first pass metabolism and the hemodynamic effects lasting 4 to 6 hours. Available formulations are, coming to erythritol tetranitrate, the available formulations are Cardilate 5 and 15 mg tablets. The duration of action is 4 to 6 hours. Coming to the formulations of pentaerythritol tetranitrate, they are Peritrate 10 mg tablet. The duration of action is 3 to 5 hours, and Peritrate SA 80 mg sustained release tablet. The duration of action is 8 to 12 hours. Now coming to the uses of organic nitrates. In general, organic nitrates are used for the following conditions. The first one is angina pectoris. The next one is acute coronary syndromes, ACS, myocardial infarction, congestive heart failure and acute left ventricular failure, biliary colic, esophageal spasm and cyanide poisoning. Now coming to angina pectoris. In case of angina pectoris, the organic nitrates are effective in classical and variant angina. GTN gives relief in 3 minutes in 70% of the patients, and in other patients it gives reliefs within 9 minutes. It also increases the exercise tolerance and post-ECG changes of ischemia. But the tolerance and the dependence of drug limit the use of organic nitrates. For that reason, in order to prevent the tolerance, 6 to 8 drug-free hours daily are advisable. And the drugs which are used for unstable angina are IV infusion of glyceryl trinitrate, and the drugs which are used for stable angina are, for prevention, daily isosorbide mononitrate or GTN sublingually immediately before exertion is given. In case of treatment, in order to treat, sublingual GTN is given for stable angina. Coming to the next condition, acute coronary syndromes, ACS. These are characterized by rapid worsening of anginal status of the patient, which include unstable angina and non-ST segment elevation myocardial infarction. In order to treat acute coronary syndromes, aggressive therapy with a combination of drugs is intended to prevent further coronary occlusion, to increase the coronary blood flow and to decrease the myocardial stress. And nitrates are useful in decreasing the preload, which is nothing but the myocardial work, and in increasing the coronary flow through dilation and antagonism to coronary spasm. Initially, GTN is given sublingually, and if the pain persists after 3 tablets, 5 minutes apart each, IV infusion of GTN should be started. And nitrates have limited role in relieving the pain in case of ACS. Coming to the next condition, it is myocardial infarction. It administered by carefully titrated IV infusion to avoid hypotension and tachycardia. Glyceryl trinitrate, GTN, is used during evolving myocardial infarction to relieve chest pain, pulmonary congestion and limiting the area of necrosis by altering the oxygen balance in the ischemic zone. And glyceryl trinitrate should not be given for patients whose systolic BP is less than 90 mmHg, whose heart rate is less than 50 or greater than 100 beats per minute. In patients who are suspected for right ventricular infarction, and hypotension caused by nitrates limits the administration of beta blockers. This is also contraindication. And also GTN is contraindicated if the patient has taken sildenafil in the past 24 hours. Coming to congestive heart failure and acute left ventricular failure. The nitrates, they act by causing venous pooling of blood, and this results in reduced venous return or pleal. This results in decreased end diastolic volume and improvement in the left ventricular function by Laplace law and the regression of pulmonary congestion. Because of this mechanism, the nitrates are used in congestive heart failure and acute left ventricular failure. IV GTN is the drug of choice for emergency use and in case of acute heart failure. For chronic heart failure, isosorbide mononitrate with hydralazine in patients of African origin are given. Coming to the next conditions, they are biliary colic and esophageal spasm. The biliary colic due to gallstones or morphine, it responds to sublingual GTN or isosorbide dinitrate. So nitrates are also used to treat biliary colic and the drug of choice is sublingual GTN or isosorbide dinitrate. Now coming to esophageal spasm. As we have discussed earlier, it relaxes the esophagus also. So in order to treat esophageal spasm, the sublingual GTN relieves the pain. Whenever it is taken before meal, it facilitates the esophageal achalasia by reducing the esophageal tone. Coming to cyanide poisoning. Nitrates and nitrites, they generate methemoglobin, which has a high affinity for cyanide radical, and it forms cyanocosmethemoglobin. But this may again dissociate to release cyanide. For this purpose, sodium thiosulfate is given, which forms sodium thiocyanate, which has poor dissociation and it is excreted in urine. In order to treat cyanide poisoning, sodium nitrite is used because it is a weak vasodilator and large doses, that is greater than 300 mg, sufficient to generate enough methemoglobin, can be injected without producing hypotension. Alternate and probably safer antidotes that are being used in UK and USA are hydrocobalamin and dicobalt EDTA. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for further videos on pharmacology and other related pharmaceutical sciences.